A 96th minute equaliser from Luke Ayling rescues a point for Boro at the King Power.
It's got to go in the box. Go on. It's a good ball.
Yes, they were the limbs in the away end as Luke Ayling snatched a point for us last night. And if you want to see the full match day vlog, subscribe as it will be dropping here on the channel at some point tomorrow. But today, welcome back to Project Boro, and we are of course going to be talking about Boro's 1-1 draw away at Leicester last night, which of course, yes, I attended, and well, thank God the goal went in at the end because it made the horrid 4.5-hour journey all the worth it in the end. It was a very long day, and we waited all the way until the end to actually get something to celebrate, and Boro come away from Leicester with a point. Now, this performance was very divisive and is very divisive on Twitter at the moment. There are a lot of Boro fans who are very happy with the performance. They're very complimentary of the performance. They are praising the fact that we came from behind. We had a man sent off as well in the 90th minute, so with 10 men. We come from behind, away from home, at Leicester, and, you know, at least for the final 20 minutes, were decent, I would say. There's other people, though, who were far from convinced and not impressed by the performance, and it, albeit a good end to the game, for the most part, it was just a continuation of what we've had of late, which has been really poor performances from Boro, really blunt, really, lacking of creativity going forward, looking like we're not going to create anything or score. And I normally always lean on the side of, well, the result is more important, which it is, and performances, aren't the be-all and end-all. We got the result, we got the points, things will improve, things will get better. That's where I've been many, many times this season when Boro haven't played their best, but we've still found a way to win or draw, whatever. Last night was the first time this season I kind of came away on the other side of it, and don't get me wrong, the limbs in that away end were biblical. They were so damn good. It's what you live for as a football fan, and if you could bottle up that emotion, you would live off of it. It was the best feeling in the world. But taking that aside, and I guess the final 20 minutes, I was not impressed by Boro at all yesterday. And I thought for the most part, especially the first half, it was pretty rough going once again. And I came away, of course, happy with the point, happy that we got the equaliser in the manner that we did. And I think in the end, we did deserve a point. I think it was a fair result in the end because of how Boro dominated Leicester in the final 20 minutes of the game. But can I equally say that I saw enough to be convinced by Boro and impressed by Boro that we've turned a corner, that things have improved? Not really. And I'll be honest, I came away from the first half especially really, really upset by the performance. And yep, we changed it and we did get better. But let's not forget, I know a lot of people have said, we're away at Leicester, it's a Premier League team. Edward said, we're away at a Premier League team. Leicester were awful last night. They were dreadful. I was quite surprised by how bad they were. And are probably one of the worst teams we've played this season, maybe the worst. So I don't take much stock in, oh, well, we've got a point away at Leicester. They were dreadful. And it took a 96th-minute equaliser to get a point from Leicester. So, yeah, I'm not as high on this performance as other fans are, and for the first time this season, I've kind of came away more focused on the performance than the results, and I think it's mostly just because we're at the stage in the season now where I would like to see performances begin to improve, and we've done, well so far to get results when we probably haven't played as well all the time, but I am starting to now get a little bit concerned by the lack of creativity up front, the lack of chances we're creating, how little we're troubling the opposition's goalkeeper in games, and there's just too many players at the moment who are just not in form. And again, no matter what attacking lineup we choose to go with, we just look like we're never going to score. So, yeah, delighted with the result, delighted with how it came about, and there definitely were positives to take from the final 20 minutes, which we'll get on to. But overall, the first hour, I thought, was just more of the same from Boro of recent weeks. It was really, really poor. There was no patterns of play. I couldn't see what we were trying to do. I was saying to my mate Chris at the game, who of course is on the podcast, if you can see progress, you can get behind progress and you buy in. But I'm watching this Boro team and I'm trying to see and work out what we're trying to do, what the patterns of play we're trying to create, how we're trying to get through a side, and there's just nothing there for the most part, which is a real worry. So, yeah, we take it, and it was a good point in the end. It was a fair result. Boro did well to come back into it, and in the end, were the better side at the end, but not convinced, I would say. Looking at the lineup, well, I almost turned around, I'll be honest. It took me 4.5 hours to get there. It should have been a 3-hour journey. I was already so deep into it and so, well, in a bad mood because of the journey. I almost turned around when I saw the 11, but I thought, sorry, I'm going to have to stick it out because both Delano Bergzorg and Morgan Whittaker started, which I just do not understand, I'm going to be honest. The only reason I can think that we did this was because, of course, we have Dale Fry injured. Edmondson's not fit. We're low on centre-backs. Lenihan's not fit either. And who'd have thought when we let Neto Poches go in the summer, we all said, didn't we, still didn't have faith in Boro's depth at centre-back. Here we are. So I don't know if, because of our lack of centre-half options, we had to play with a back four. We had to bring Ayling into a back two with Jones. And, I thought maybe we could have put Target in as a left centre-back and Sammy Silvera as a left wing-back and kept playing as a back five. Maybe he didn't fancy Sammy Silvera up against Fatawu. That might have been the reason why, but it didn't work first half. It really, really did. It was more of the same from Boro, essentially. Leicester just took one look at what Watford did against us, Wrexham did against us. It's not hard to nullify this Boro team, let's be honest. They congested the centre of the pitch, sat relatively deep, so the likes of Strelitz and Conway were surrounded by blue shirts. Hackney and Morris therefore can't really play through Leicester unless we're really quick and really intricate, which we're not at the moment. So they're forcing us to go out wide to two wingers who want to come inside and are also bang average. You've then got to rely on your fullbacks to probably then provide the width and overlap, but they weren't getting far enough forward either to get into decent crossing positions, and even when they do put a ball into the box, like against Watford, you're sticking it into a box where there's Vestergaard, who's 6'10" or whatever. Coley and Nelson aren't small either, and you've got Tommy Conway in there, who might win one header out of every 20 up against them. So it's not difficult to set up against Boro right now. It's pretty darn easy, and that was clear in the first half. It was just, Boro were just passing it around without really testing the goalkeeper at all. We did have one chance. We played it into Bergzorg, we laid it off the target. His shot was saved. Strides nearly gotten on the end of the rebound, but that was the only thing we did in the first half, really. Leicester, I would say, definitely edged Boro in terms of big chances. The biggest one probably came for a Collie. They had a free kick from the left. If he gets anything full on that, it's a goal. He just has to connect with it, and it's a really, really poor finish. And that was their one big chance in the first half that they should have done better with, of course, until the big controversial moment right at the end of the first half. And it was, of course, a handball on Hayden Hackney. And I don't know the rules, so I don't know if it was or wasn't a penalty. Some have said it was, some have said it wasn't. His feet were in the box, but his arm was out the box. So I don't know what body part you base the rule off of. Is he then technically in the box, so it's a penalty? I don't know what it is, but regardless if it's on the line or in, it's a pen. I didn't think it was at the time. Looking back, I thought it was. Regardless, Hayden Hackney gives the referee a decision to make. He misjudges the spin of the ball, and then for some reason throws his arm at it. No idea why he'd do that. Let it bounce over your shoulder, Hayden, and try and clear it. I know he didn't know who was behind him at the time, potentially, but it's a silly decision. You're giving the referee a decision to make, and it's borderline, but he gives the penalty. and RU sticks it away. And they come out of the first half 1-0 up, and I think they probably just edged it first half and just deserved the lead, but let's be clear, they didn't test Solbren either and were just as blunt going forward as what we were. The first half was an absolute non-event between two sides who just looked miles off it, and yeah, one decision by the referee switched it in Leicester's favour, and we're back in that position where we're behind in a game, and we've not won yet from behind in a game, and you're thinking to yourself, we've created absolutely next to nothing in the first half. How on earth are we going to get back in this game, let alone have any chance of winning it? Second half, we do come out, and I don't remember us being all that much better in the second half up until the hour mark. We brought Riley McGree on for David Strelets, we brought Nipan on for Bergzorg, and that was the change for me, where I saw positives in this Boro performance. Riley McGree, we all know how good he is, and we've had to, it's been incredibly frustrating for us and for him that he just can't stay fit and he's been injured over and over again. But we all know the quality he possesses, and he made such a difference when he came on. Nipan as well, I thought was good, but Riley McGree changed the game for Boro when he came on in that second half. He linked up with Britton really, really well, which I was pleasantly surprised to see. And there were some nice little patterns of play down the right then. Britton would play first-time balls down to McGree, who was running down the right channel, creating the space inside. He's just so good on the ball. McGree, he's so reliable with the ball at his feet. He's so clever, he's so smart. He knows what he's going to do before he even receives the ball. He knows what touch to take, where his teammates are, when to play a pass. He's got quality. He just took our performance up a level when he came on, McGree, and he was involved in absolutely everything good that Boro did in that final 20-25 minutes. And we were much better in the final 25 minutes. Now, people have been getting very carried away about our second half performance and said we dominated Leicester, and I mean, we did in terms of possession and territory, but we did that against Watford and still got beat and didn't really hurt them. I don't base dominating a side off of just having lots of the ball and being in their half. You've got to hurt them. You've got to test the keeper. You've got to create. We didn't test the keeper enough still. We still, I don't think, created as much as what we should, but we certainly looked a bigger threat in that final 20 minutes, which was good to see. We had numerous crosses and corners and set pieces, put into some really good positions. Conway had a header that he just put wide. The one big moment, though, there was a mistake from one of the Leicester defenders. Conway is 1v1 with Begovic, and he's got to score. He's got to score. It's another big chance missed by Tommy Conway. I think it's the 9th big chance he's missed this season. It's a problem, because when you've got a side who aren't creating many clear-cut chances anyway, you need to be clinical. You need a striker who's going to take them chances, and you need to be very efficient in Boro's current position, and we were to start the season. We were still scoring goals from the chances we were creating. At the moment, we're not, and we're not creating many chances either. So when you get a 1v1 like this, you've got to stick it away. And Conway, the keeper committed. He should have either went round him. He just puts it straight at him. It's poor from Conway, and he needs a goal desperately. He really, really does. It's another big one he's missed, which could have put us ahead a lot earlier. But in the end, eventually, we keep pushing. There was a red card for Alfie Jones. Upon, hearing first time after the game, it sounded like it wasn't a red card. Looking at the highlights, I think it was. Honestly, I think he is the last man. I don't think Target's getting across to Mavididi. I'm going to be honest. I think it is last man. I think he's in on goal 1v1 with Bryn. So I do think it's just clever play from Mavididi to get away from Jones, who commits, and I think it was a red card, so we're going to miss him at the weekend, which is going to be a big miss with Boro's current defensive numbers, or lack thereof. But, as we say, to be down by, 10 men and to still get back into the game is a huge, huge positive for Boro. And I thought we were still, even with one less player on the pitch, we were still just as, again, dominant. Is that the word? We were still just as good, I would say, in stoppage time, pushing forward. Leicester, just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper. You can tell they're a side who are not very confident, a little bit anxious at home. As I said in my preview, I think had we got the first goal, I think we'd have been quids in, to be honest with you. But even after they scored, you could sense that they just weren't very reassuring. And I mean, second half, Leicester did nothing. Let me be honest. They were dreadful second half. They did not do a thing. It was all Boro second half. They were sort of sitting just further and further back, almost inviting Boro on. And I guess we got what we deserved in the end for the pressure that we did put on them in them last 20 minutes, and it could not have dropped to a player more deserving of this goal. He was the best player on the night, both going forwards and going backwards. He's been our best player this season. It's his first goal in over 2 years. You could not have picked a more popular goal scorer to put away the winner than Luke Ayling. And what a moment in the away end. I've got to tell you, it was bananas in that way, and bedlam. It was insane. To be fair to Callum Britton, it's a good chop back. He hooks the cross in. It's a good ball as well, and Luke Ayling gets his head on it. It's a fantastic header, and yeah, the scenes were absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible in that away end, and deserved in the end, I would say. Edward said we deserved to win the game, and we had a few decisions that didn't go our way. I don't quite agree with that. I thought the red card was a red. The penalty, I don't know for sure. I don't think we deserved to win this game, I'll be honest. I know maybe the pen was harsh or whatever, but, you know, I guess looking at it from a Leicester point of view, had they not got that penalty, would they have scored second half? I don't think so. So maybe had they not got that penalty and Hackney hadn't have gave the ref the decision to make, maybe Boro would have gone on to nick it 1-0 in the second half, and you could say then we deserved to maybe win the game. But honestly, penalty or no penalty, I think Leicester did edge the first half, although it was a very low bar, you know, two very poor sides that they just edged. You know, it's nothing for them to be proud of. They weren't great either. But then second half, we definitely were the better side. They were absolutely awful. But we got better, had a good end to the game, and got the goal that I think in the end we deserved. So, yeah, it's a tough one, this. As I say, a lot of discourse on this performance. A lot of people delighted, and I can see why. A lot of, you know, real positive emotions after a last kick of the game equaliser, of course. But, yeah, for the first time, I found myself more sort of, disappointed in the performance. As much as you take the point away from home, 10 men, I get it. I don't subscribe to the idea that it's away at Leicester and they're a Premier League side. They were dreadful on the night, let's be clear. They were there for the beating last night, and if Boro had played better first half, we probably would have beaten them in the end. But you still take it, and I think there were definitely glimmers of positives to take away from that final 20 minutes, which I hope we can take and build on into the next game. As for the team, I mean, there are a lot of players in this team who are just not performing at the moment, and it does raise question marks as to what we do next. The defence I thought was solid, as it always is. As I said, we limited Leicester to nothing. You know, the one thing Boro continue to be fantastic at is defensively, and I'll stand by what I've said all season. You know, it gives us a chance in games. Having a defence this strong, it gives you a chance. And if you play poor, you still have a chance to draw or even maybe win games of football. So I think having such a good defence has raised our floor a little bit and gives us a good foundation, as it has done all season. And of course, you know, you've got some standouts in there. Luke Ayling was just absolutely awesome in that entire game. I thought Targett and Britton did better second half, pushing up, but I don't know if that's just down to Leicester sitting deeper. Would have liked more from them first half. But again, you know, they weren't getting high enough. And they're crossing to a guy who's up against, you know, huge centre-half. So we need to definitely try and find a different route to creating chances than just asking Britton and Targett to loft balls in to Tommy Conway. It's just not going to work at all. But defensively, they were very good. And of course, Alfie Jones, going to be a miss. Thought he was decent on the night as well. And up until the red card, of course, Bryn, nothing to do for the most part. Midfield, it was a tale of two midfielders, really. Hayden Hackney, not great again. I said on the breakdown last week I didn't think his form was that bad, but I'm starting to change my mind on that a little bit. 2 games running he's been hooked. Gave away a silly penalty. yeah, not good from Hayden. I think we just need a little bit more consistency from him. We've seen at times this season how he can be above and beyond anyone else on that pitch. But it's consistency with him at the moment that I think he's really struggling with. But positive, Aidan Morris was better. He was much better last night. It's more like it from Aidan Morris. You know, his form's been pretty bad since the Portsmouth game, really. He's just not had a good month, really. But yeah, he was definitely more like the old Aidan Morris, which was great to see. Then there's the front four, and we're here again talking about a front four that just didn't work. Now, I would say bin off the 4-2-3-1 because essentially you're forcing yourself to play with Whittaker and Bergzorg. We do not have the wingers to play a 4-2-3-1. We just don't. They want to come inside all the time, which is where the Leicester players want you to be. They want to congest the middle of the pitch, and you know Morgan Whittaker and Bergzorg are going to cut inside into them spaces. They offer us no width. They are incredibly unreliable with their final pass, their final ball, and barring moments in games, every 5 or 6 games maybe, they're incredibly ineffective. They are impact players at the very best who you bring on when their, positive traits and their specialities suit a game or suit the opposition, because other than Ipswich, they've been really poor. Really, really poor for a while now. I know Whittaker got his 2 goals, but other than that, he's continued to offer next to nothing. And I just feel like you are carrying these 2 players in the starting 11, and they are just not good enough to start in a side that wants to get promoted. They're just not. There's better options on the bench. Please stop persisting by starting both of these players. Bergzorg can definitely offer running in behind, hold up play, has a goal in him. But again, I think that's because he's a better impact player at the minute, as much as I don't like bashing the lad. But Morgan Whittaker is just giving us nothing at the moment. He's literally, I can't make a case for him even if I tried, because there's nothing he offers. He picks the ball up on the left. He's alright at passing the ball off and keeping possession, but he just wants to cut inside on his left foot and probably take a shot. That's it. Yeah, we need to bin this formation off. But the only issue is when we haven't got fit centre halves, we've got to play with the back four, and then you're sort of limited to Whittaker and Bergzorg, and I just don't think we're a good side with them in it when they start. And I think we've just got to try and play with the back three as much as possible, and then at least you've got Britton and Target who you can push up, or maybe Silvera as well. And then you can play with the 10s instead, who I think we've got more of them for starters, and I think are just more effective for Boro with the likes of Magrini, Pan, Strelitz, etc. So yeah, if we can, I know it might be dependent on injuries and stuff, but bin this formation off, bin Whittaker and Bergzorg off, let them remain impact players and give some of the other lads a chance. Unfortunately, as much as I am willing David Strelitz to get minutes and adapt, and I still think there's a case for that 100%, he didn't do me or anyone any favours. Anyone who's willing him to play and willing him to do well, he had an awful game last night. He's just not up to speed yet. He was playing in the 10, and there were a lot of Leicester players in the midfield. As I said, they blocked out the middle of the pitch. So every time he was getting the ball played into him, he was surrounded by numerous Leicester players, and he's got to take the ball in. His first touch has got to be really, really good, and he's got to play it off quickly. And because he's just not quite up to speed, his touches are bad. It's like a balloon at time, a trampoline, when the ball just bounces off him, and he's having to then try and recover the ball, and there's Leicester players on him, and he's just not quite having the time or the space in that position to really have an impact. So I don't know what we do with Strelitz at the minute. He's just not quite up to speed to play in that 10. So do you try sticking up front again? Because unfortunately, our current number 9 is very, very wasteful. Tommy Conway missed another big chance last night. And I just don't know what we do with the front four. Are we best bringing Conway in a little bit deeper? Because his average positions in the last few games have been really, really deep. He is good at linking the play. He is good at taking the ball and playing it off. And I think he's probably better at doing that at the minute than David Strelitz is. So, I don't know. Do you bring Conway deeper and just ask Strelitz to stay on the defensive line? Maybe. It's a real conundrum up front at the moment with Boro. It really, really is. I don't know what we do. We keep trying different things and nothing seems to be working. But as I said, if there was to be positives, McGree was awesome when he come on. absolutely awesome. And the sooner we get him fit, the better. The sooner he is in that starting 11 on a weekly basis and hopefully stays there, I think it makes Boro an immensely better side. And I think if you have him as one of the 2 10s in behind the striker, I think there's definitely room for positives there, because he linked up really well with Callum Britton, which I thought was a big positive, and he is just so reliable with the ball at his feet. He can create, he can score. I just hope he's at a point where he's fully fit. I still don't think he is. I think he'll probably be benched for Birmingham, and then maybe he'll need the international break again to then maybe start starting games after the international break. But the sooner he gets in, the better. And I think maybe Nipan as well alongside him in behind a striker might work too. I don't know if you persist with McGree and Nipan behind Conway, or McGree and Nipan behind Strelitz, or McGree and Strelitz behind Conway. There are so many potential combinations. I just don't know what's the right one at the moment. But get McGree into that team ASAP. And you know what? Maybe Silvera. I mean, you're taking a chance on his crossing, which is very, very questionable. But he is the only player who can be a winger or wing back who I think can actually take a man on and beat him and inject a bit of pace into the team. So I think for that reason, maybe he warrants a start. Possibly. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's the lineup. There's lots to ponder and talk about in that department. And then finally on the stats, as you can see, Boro did, again, have the better of it second half. That's backed up by possession, shots and shots on target and big chances. A lot of people were pointing this out as a reason to suggest that Boro were much better and were pretty good last night. But again, how many of them chances were good chances? That's why I put so much value in XG. People hate XG, but this is why there is so much value in it, because both teams can have 17 shots and 4 on target, but one side might have all of them shots in the box, missing sitter after sitter after sitter. The other might have 17 shots from miles out that go over wide and out the ground. The number of shots is one thing, but the XG provides context as to how good and how big of an opportunity them shots were. And we still didn't have an XG as good as Leicester's, and they created next to nothing. So that's my point. I mean, a lot of their XG, I think the penalty might take up a lot of it, if it's even included. But yes, Boro had a lot of shots, but how many of them were of high quality? Not many. How many of them tested the keeper? 1, I think. So yeah, don't get me wrong, we did give it a go second half. We did take a lot of shots, we did put them under pressure, but we still have to be so much better creatively in that final third. And unfortunately, we can't look at the table now with as much positives. We have dropped to third. Stoke are above us now, and to be honest, they deserve to be the top 2, the pair of them, because Coventry and Stoke can both defend and score plenty. We can do one of them things, but not the other. So that's why I think they definitely warrant a place in the top 2. And I do look at it now and think, will Boro get back in there? I'm not so sure. Coventry and Stoke do play each other at the weekend. We have Birmingham. So we might get back in the top 2 at the weekend. But I honestly think we are maybe starting to regress into just being a playoff side now. And that's absolutely fine. Let me make it clear. The expectation was never top 2. And although I do think there is a gaping door open for a team like Boro to grasp an opportunity to get promoted in the top 2 this season, I just don't think we have it in us, unfortunately, going forwards. I think, Coventry and Stoke have everything. We don't have everything at the moment. So I think we're regressing into the playoff 4, and that's absolutely fine. Listen, Boro have only made the playoffs in 4 of the last 15 championship seasons. A playoff finish for us is still incredible, and it's better than anything we've achieved in the last 2 years. So there's no need to be upset or panic or have any grimace looking at Boro dropping into the playoffs, because essentially that is still well above where I think a lot of people thought we'd finish this season. So yeah, the good starts gave us a bit of margin for error, but I think we are regressing a little bit. We're not taking all of our chances now. We're not being as efficient as we were earlier in the season. We're not, coming out on the right side of tight games as much as we were earlier in the season. So I think we're starting to see that have a bit of an effect now, and we are dropping into the playoff 4, which is fine. But as I say, no wins in the last 3. What is that? 2 goals scored. Yeah, it's. I think we are sinking and levelling out now as to, I think, where we probably will be. we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we can have another injection of life, and if we do start scoring and creating, we might have a second wind, and we might start climbing again, but at the minute, it doesn't look likely, does it? Anyway, at the weekend, Birmingham come to town. I don't know what they're like away from home. I don't think they're actually too great, but they've just come off the back of back-to-back 4-0 wins at home to Portsmouth and Millwall, who have been playing really well of late. So God help us as free-scoring Birmingham come to town at the weekend. That is going to be a really, really tough game. But anyway, guys, that is it for me. Thank you for watching and listening, if indeed you have. Of course, as I said, there'll be a matchday vlog dropping tomorrow and a preview for Birmingham probably on Friday. And yeah, if you enjoy all that good stuff, hit a like on the video and subscribe if you want to check out all the good stuff coming up. And do comment below with your thoughts, because as I say, a lot of differing opinions on this game. Some people thought we were really good, some people thought we were really, really bad, some thought we deserved to win, some thought we deserved to lose. I thought we deserved to draw in the end and got the point we deserved. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.